I think we got a video going now. I just saw this laying on the roof when I was up here. It's not so awful sunny. This is a supplemental form. You notice it's got a 45-degree piece on one end. I don't know if that shows up. I think it's showing up. And it has a square on the other end. And this was used to cast the top tie beam, a base tie beam, and a wall. So the forms were spaced for the width of the top tie beam, and we made the bottom tie beam the same, just out of meanness, I guess. And then any place we wanted it thinned down to be the wall, or someplace we were going to put a window, we had these lined up. They're square-ended. This one is. I think the end one's had a 45. We'll go down and look. But there's holes here along the edge. This is where our through bolts that hold the form together. You got two side forms made just something like this, and you put a piece of PVC pipe, the length to be the thickness of the wall. Then you run a piece of all thread or a bolt through all of it, one side to the other. And when you snug those bolts down, I don't mean tighten, just snug, then you get a wall and whatever indentations that you put on the face of those forms. Most of the time we're using a window or a door form, but in this case here, we were just trying to make we use window forms on this one. So that's not all of them, most of them. Well, wait a minute, I can walk down these stairs, but I won't. Okay, so we're talking, this video is going to be about poured concrete versus hollow block construction. And by the time you're ready for paint, I mean, at this stage here with skim coat on it, how much difference in the price is there and which one's the most expensive? But the piece we were looking at up there would have been bolted on between these forms, and it gave this this thinner section, which we chose to be the wall. Now we could have made the wall thicker or thinner. We could have made the top and bottom tie beams thicker or thinner. It's just a matter of what you want. And in our case, these top tie beams are they got stirrups and you know, rebars, just like they were a standalone beam. But what you really have here is you can think of it as a very tall beam with flanges that thick on the ends, or you can think of it as a continuous column, because it's completely reinforced concrete from the top to the bottom. You don't really need columns on the end, because the whole thing is as strong as the column would be, and we got about 9 or 10 times as much cross section as we would if we had a column. With a hollow box, we have to include the column because it won't stay there without it. They only show the guys doing the concrete render where the walls go and where the window openings go. That's their main function. Gives you something to stick the render to. But they're not part of the wall other than just blocking the light long enough to put render on it. The render soaks cement into those blocks and makes them much stronger. But also when you put the cement in the core, that capillary reaction sucks cement and water into the block and it makes it stronger. So if you go up 6 courses of block in a day, and you know, when you make sure you fill the cores as you go, then that block is much stronger the next day. So you can put another 6 courses on it without any damage of a collapse. The same deal was done in like this is a lanai here. I don't know, even shows up that is a semi-enclosed space. Lanai with light. Lanai with overhang. Lanai with no tile on the floor. This is actually roof. All this up here we're walking on is roof. And we're going to put ceramic tile on the roof because it will stick to this concrete. That ABC tile adhesive will glue it down. And if you have any hairline cracks, if I wasn't trying to show one, they've got Quikrete, I think, made it. I just don't see any right now. Well, here you go. Here's a joint between two slabs, and we sealed that up with that Quikrete stuff. But you can take a diamond wheel, like a tile cutting wheel, and run down a crack to make it wider, especially if you make it wider at the bottom than the top, and squirt that stuff in there, and it just seals it right up. Anyway, now here we have a poured concrete wall, which you can't see the bottom of. Well, we'll find when you can. Maybe we won't. It's most of one. That's a wall. I believe that one's 8 inches thick. But it didn't need a column on either side either. That wall is all the support it needs. And if you're pouring a poured concrete house and trying to do it still just every bit as strong, but less expensive, less form work, and a little bit less concrete. That could be a square corner, and there's going to be probably on this video some forms with dimensions drawn up. I'm going to make the dimensions forms a separate video, and I'll put the forms in this video just draw it up, but I won't necessarily cover all the dimensions. But there'll be one posted with the dimensions, and it makes a 90-degree corner. You know, the forms turn a corner, and so you set and you pour in like 4 foot wide heights, one lift, and then you pick the form up, and it will make 3 feet 6 the second time because you're overlapping the holes. The new section fits down over the first section. The bottom of the form is the first one you poured, so you go 3 foot 6 as many times as you want. They built grain silos that way. They're 150 feet tall. But you could, if you were trying to build a nice house, you don't have to have these columns in it if the walls are poured concrete. I'm not the only one who puts them in there because it's expected, but it's not a good financial decision. It's not a good architectural decision because it shows. If I was to do a hollow block wall, I would probably make my column the thickness of the rendered hollow block, and then just skim coat everything to the same height. Which would get basically you'd have column, 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 and then you got to the end, you'd have real column. You know, so this is a top beam, bottom beam behind the lumber, window opening, weird intersections all over the place. And they go really quick, about 2 days, you know, for a lanai. You have to go and pour the 10 around the inside. In our case, 10-sided building, and then we pour the 10 around the outside, and we just slap forms between them because there's no window openings and not much in the way of exposed corners. It doesn't really make a difference what you do with your forms. You can straighten it up with render if you want. We didn't bother, but you could. You could make it neat. You could be neat putting the forms up, which we didn't do either. But you could make. You can pour concrete. It's really pretty. All we wanted was a building to live in, and something that would last a while. The joke was we're building a building to last 1,000 years. I don't know. I don't know how long skim coat's good for. Probably 150, something like that. It's cement and polymer. It's pretty durable stuff. And when he gets done with that upper roof molding, we're going to go to this roof molding. We had our artist wanted something to do, and I kept telling him we're going to do something different, but I couldn't stop him. So he put render all the way around here, tried to cover up a little bit of honeycomb we have here. I'm sure there's places that's got more honeycomb than this, but anyway, he put it up there, and some of it has fell off. That's why we use those nails. We're basically nailing this this molding we're going to make into the edge of the slab. Problem he's having is that about every third hole he drills, he hits rebar. there's a whole bunch of rebar all the way around the surface of everything around here. So it's if you ever get the right height, you've got a pretty good chance of missing it, because the rebar's fairly neat. It won't change from 2 inches to 2.5 in 3 feet or something. You know, you can tell which way it's gaining or losing if it is. Okay. What this video was about is putting additional pieces on the faces of flat forms to make a quick shape. You know, this is one pour, 2 columns, a top and bottom tie beam, a wall, and a window opening. And you pour that in 4.5 hours, something like that, with a power mixer. About 6 hours if you're mixing it with shovels. And you had some guys that were really good from shoveling one pile to beside itself and then shoveling it back, and then you throw the water to it. They can make some pretty good concrete that way. It's just not mechanized enough for us. We're power to everything here. If it would help us, we get one. If we think we can't live without it, we buy 2 or 3. We got a wheelbarrow full of screw guns and 3 or 4 drills. Miter saw, chop saw, drill press, circular saws, you know, usual run-of-the-mill stuff. Anyway, I'm going to close this one out because I think it's going to get stuck on another video about a dollars to dollars comparison on identical dimensions wall, one hollow block and one with poured concrete. And I really don't know which is more expensive. I know which is stronger. Hollow block, the government standard is 800 pounds per square inch. What they do when they test it, if it's 500 or more, they sell it. And the guy selling, he's got to stay in competition with every other hardware store that also makes blocks. So he really can't start throwing twice as much cement in. And you can't talk him into doing it either. That's why we're doing poured concrete. We just couldn't get him to put 4 bags of cement where they were putting 1. Anyway, this concrete, the mix on this concrete, if it was water cured, you know, kept covered and sprayed down with water 3 or 4 times a day, and it wasn't real hot or real windy, it's the 8,000 pound per square inch concrete mix. We're probably getting around half that. We don't add a lot of extra water, so we're not losing any of the strength there. But one thing and another, it's mostly the sun blasting on it and the wind up here. It's a really windy site, and that dries the surface faster, or actually cures the surface faster. So it's just like trying to dry lumber too fast. You strain it. But there's so much strength left, we're not really worried about it. We tried to water down the first 2 or 3 things we poured. We couldn't do it ourselves. We couldn't get anybody to do it. You're paying them, and they still just got things that they think are more important, and they do what they think they will do the best for you. They're trying to look out for you, but I'd rather have my concrete wet. I'd rather, if I could have hired children. See, I can't hire anybody younger than 18. I can't hire anybody younger than 15 unless one of their family members works on the job. They have to be here at the same time. And a 15-year-old kid needs to be in school. I don't want to take anybody out of school. So we've never really worked children. We let them collect carabao manure, like down there around that, whatever kind of tree that is. And we mix that with other stuff, cocoa sawdust and gravel and stuff. Well, sand, not gravel. And that's what the dirt we grow things in, because you won't grow anything in this dirt. It grows these grassy weeds, like out back down over this, our back pasture. We call it a pasture now because it's a coconut plantation full of coconuts, except that the cows wander in and just eat the tops off of them. Or sometimes if they're really young, they rip and tear and they pull them out of the ground and eat them. But they don't eat the part they pulled up. They only eat the leaves anyway, but it kills it then. So anyway, this is our plantation, and we found that coconuts grow very slowly, but they do grow. Bananas, on the other hand, you throw a little bit of manure in the hole you plant them in. These bananas are a year and a half, something like that. See, last year we were pouring this gutter down here, So they weren't there then. So in October of last year, we poured this gutter right here. This one or that one, one of these two. And because we would have known that they were going to change height and done something about it if it hadn't been the last two we poured. But it was the last two, and they did that. But those bananas were put in after that, probably by somebody during rainy season. Same thing with these bird paradise. They couldn't have been there while we were pouring concrete. There was forms and braces all out through there. Our experienced lumber was holding the forms up. But bananas grow here. I don't care how crappy the land is. They grow. Okra grows. Cassava grows. Cassava looks like crap when it doesn't rain. That's cassava over here. Oh, this is Mirienda. I actually got here before Mirienda today. That's rare. We trust them, and we never catch them not working when we get here, and nobody steals anything. You can't ask for better people. I do what I can to inflate the wages. If I pay them too much, then there's problems with other people who are unemployed and violence, you know. So we have other things we do, like buying them rice and things. Slabs. Oh, that's a sign of plenty of concrete or cement in your concrete. Your slab is white. That's not gray. It's white. And my wife okayed that slab. She really did. And now she says it's the biggest dirty kitchen she's ever seen. And that's all it is a dirty kitchen. But it's going to have inserts in it for like those big soup pots and a grill to make tortillas and stuff. So it's not really too big. Okay, end of this thing, and we'll stick it on some other video.